On the worst battlefield humanity had ever seen, every alien warrior ran. Not from the enemy, but from one of their own. She was left behind, paralyzed, broken, and abandoned. Every soldier walked away, except one human. And that single decision would change the fate of 2 civilizations. A graveyard of war. The battlefield looked like the end of the universe. Metal towers that once touched the sky were now twisted skeletons. Alien ships burned in the distance, their engines screaming as they collapsed into the ruined city. The ground was covered with shattered armor, broken weapons, and bodies from 2 different worlds. Sergeant Marcus Hale walked slowly through the wreckage. His boots crushed glass and alien circuitry with every step. He had fought on 6 planets during the war against the Carthary Dominion. He had seen deserts that swallowed armies and oceans that boiled from orbital strikes. But this place was worse. Because this place used to be beautiful. The alien city of Vela Prime had once been known as the jewel of the outer systems. Towering silver buildings, glowing bridges, floating gardens. Now it was a graveyard. Marcus wiped soot from his visor and checked the scanner on his rifle. No movement. His squad had already pushed forward toward the next combat zone. Marcus had stayed behind to check for survivors or salvage technology. Usually, that meant empty armor and silent machines. But today, something moved. The shape in the wreckage. At first he thought it was debris shifting in the wind. Then the shape blinked. Marcus froze. Half buried under collapsed plating lay a massive armored figure. The alien warrior armor shimmered faintly, its color shifting like oil underwater. Carthary battle armor. Marcus slowly raised his rifle. The Carthary were terrifying soldiers. 7 feet tall. Faster than humans. Stronger than machines. And completely ruthless. Every human soldier knew the rule. If you see a Carthary warrior, shoot first. But this one wasn't moving. Marcus stepped closer. The armor was cracked open across the chest and spine. Strange blue light pulsed weakly inside, like a dying heartbeat. Then 2 glowing silver eyes opened. They locked onto him instantly. Marcus felt the familiar chill run down his spine. Even wounded, this alien could probably rip him apart. But she didn't move. Her voice came out low and rough. "You are human." Marcus blinked. Well, that was new. Most Carthary didn't bother talking. "Last time I checked," Marcus replied casually. The alien stared at him. "You came to finish me." Marcus tilted his head. "Well, that was the original plan." Her eyes narrowed slightly. Marcus sighed and lowered his rifle a little. "But now I'm curious." A warrior who could not stand. Marcus crouched beside her carefully. Up close, he could see the damage. Her spine armor was shattered. Energy lines inside the suit flickered wildly. She wasn't just injured. She was paralyzed. Marcus whistled softly. "That's rough." The alien watched him closely. "My unit retreated." Marcus nodded slowly. "Yeah, I noticed." Silence stretched between them. The wind outside pushed dust through the ruins. Finally Marcus asked the obvious question. "They just left you." The alien's voice remained calm. "I am no longer combat capable." Marcus frowned. "That's it." "Yes." He stared at her. No anger. No sadness. No complaint. Just cold acceptance. Marcus leaned back against a broken wall. "Your people are brutal." The alien replied quietly. "Efficiency is survival." Marcus rubbed his face. "Human armies usually try to save their soldiers." She looked confused. "Even weak ones." Marcus chuckled. "Especially weak ones." For the first time, the alien hesitated. A dangerous decision. Marcus looked down at her broken armor again. He could leave. That was the logical choice. His squad was waiting. The war was still raging. Saving an alien enemy was not exactly in the official rulebook. But something about the situation bothered him. She wasn't begging. She wasn't angry. She had simply accepted death. Marcus hated that. He stood up. Well, this is awkward. The alien watched him carefully. Human. Yeah. If you intend to kill me, do it quickly. Marcus scratched the back of his head. Funny story. He slung his rifle across his back. I wasn't actually planning to kill you anymore. The alien's eyes widened slightly. Explain. Marcus walked behind her and grabbed the heavy armor frame. Simple. He began dragging her across the broken floor. I'm taking you with me. The alien stared at him in disbelief. You are saving an enemy soldier. Marcus grunted under the weight. Yep. Why? Marcus shrugged. Because leaving someone to die like this feels wrong. Silence followed. Then the alien said quietly, You are irrational. Marcus laughed. Welcome to humanity. The beginning of something impossible. Dragging a 7-foot alien warrior across a battlefield was not easy. Her armor weighed more than Marcus expected. Every few steps he had to stop and catch his breath. But he kept going. Eventually he reached a half-collapsed bunker hidden under rubble. He pulled her inside and leaned her carefully against the wall. Marcus dropped into a sitting position, exhausted. All right, he said between breaths. Temporary headquarters established. The alien watched him silently. Finally she spoke. You risked your life for an enemy. Marcus shrugged. Maybe. Why? Marcus looked at her glowing eyes. Because sometimes the right thing to do isn't the smart thing. The alien was quiet for a long moment. Then she said something unexpected. My name is Kayleys. Marcus smiled. Nice to meet you, Kayleys. He extended his hand jokingly. Sergeant Marcus Hale. Human idiot. For the first time since he found her, the alien warrior almost smiled. Outside, the war continued. But inside the bunker, something far more dangerous had just begun. The beginning of an alliance that neither side of the galaxy would ever expect. Marcus had expected many things from the alien warrior after saving her. He had expected threats. He had expected silence. He had expected her to wait until her strength returned and then try to break his neck. What he had not expected was fear. Not the fear of death. Not the fear of pain. But the deeper kind. The kind a soldier carried only when the war around them was smaller than the truth inside them. The bunker shook as another distant blast rolled through the ruins. Dust drifted from the cracked ceiling. Marcus sat near the entrance with his rifle across his knees, watching the dead city outside while Kayleys rested against the wall behind him. Her breathing had become steadier, but the blue veins of light beneath her broken armor still flickered unevenly. Sometimes they dimmed so low Marcus thought she might die. Then they brightened again, stubborn and cold, as if even her body refused to surrender quietly. For a while neither of them spoke. Then Kayleys broke the silence. You should have left me. Marcus glanced over his shoulder. Still on that? Yes. Well, he said, human beings are famous for ignoring terrible advice. Kayleys studied him, and this time her expression was less hard than before. There was still steel in her face, still pride, still the sharp edge of someone shaped from discipline and violence. But there was also confusion now. Real confusion. She did not understand him. That amused Marcus more than it probably should have. He opened a field pack, pulled out a cracked ration bar, and took a bite. You hungry? Kayleys stared at the food as if it had insulted her ancestors. That substance appears hostile. Marcus laughed. It's chocolate protein. It looks like engine waste. Tastes better than it looks. I strongly doubt that. Marcus broke off a piece and held it toward her. After a long pause, she accepted it between two armored fingers. She examined it with deep suspicion, then placed it in her mouth. Her face went perfectly still. Marcus waited. Well. Kayleys swallowed slowly. It is, she paused, as if the correct word caused her personal pain. Acceptable. Marcus grinned. That's basically a 5-star review. For the first time, the cold bunker felt less like a prison and more like a strange little island, floating outside the war. Then Kayleigh looked down at her own broken body, and the moment changed. My lower spinal lattice is severed, she said quietly. Even if I survive, I may never walk again. Marcus did not answer right away. He had seen wounded soldiers say those words before. Not exactly those words, but the same meaning. The same awful emptiness. The same attempt to sound calm while staring into a future that no longer matched the person they used to be. He shifted closer, careful to keep his tone light. Humans are pretty good at fixing broken things. Kayleigh turned her silver eyes toward him. Your medical systems cannot repair Carthary nerve architecture. Probably not, Marcus admitted. Then do not offer false hope. Marcus met her gaze without flinching. It wasn't false hope. It was human hope. Different species. That made her blink. Before she could answer, Marcus's scanner suddenly chirped. Both of them froze. He lifted the device and checked the screen. 3 movement signatures. No. 5. Coming from the western side of the ruins. Marcus's jaw tightened. Company. Kayleigh's entire posture sharpened, even though her body could not move below the waist. Carthary. Marcus adjusted the scanner. Too small for heavy units. Fast. Spread out. He looked at her. Probably reckon. Kayleigh's face darkened. They came back. Marcus's eyes narrowed. To rescue you. Kayleigh looked at him for a long second. Then she said, no. That single word changed everything. Marcus rose slowly and moved toward the bunker entrance. Outside, the dead city remained still, but now the stillness felt hunted. Predatory. The kind that came just before claws. Behind him Kayleigh spoke, her voice lower than before. They are not here for me. They are here for what is inside me. Marcus turned. What does that mean? Kayleigh did not answer immediately. He could see the war inside her eyes now. Duty fighting reason. Loyalty fighting truth. Finally she said, my armor did not fail by accident. Marcus said nothing. Kayleigh continued, each word sounding heavier than the last. I was carrying command-level intelligence during the assault. Battle maps. Fleet routes. Planetary breach codes. She paused. And something else. Marcus stared at her. What something else? Her silver eyes dimmed. A signal key. The bunker seemed colder. Marcus stepped closer. A signal key to what? Kayleigh looked toward the entrance as if she could already feel the enemy drawing near. To a gate. Marcus frowned. A gate. In deep orbit beyond this system, there is a concealed war structure. Ancient. Hidden long before your species reached the stars. My people found it 4 cycles ago. Marcus waited. Kayleigh's voice was barely above a whisper now. It is not merely a station. It is a transspatial gate engine. A bridge across vast distances. She looked at him again. Once activated, it could bring an entire Carthary extermination fleet directly into the Sol system without warning. Marcus felt his stomach drop. How big a fleet? Kayleigh answered with brutal simplicity. Big enough to erase Earth in a day. For a moment, he just stood there. The distant explosions outside returned to his ears, but they sounded far away now. Small. Meaningless compared to that sentence. Earth in a day. Not occupied. Not conquered. Erased. He looked at Kayleigh, really looked at her, and saw something he had not fully understood before. She had not been abandoned because she was weak. She had been abandoned because she was dangerous. And if her own people had returned now, it was not to save her. It was to cut open her armor, recover that key, and make sure no one ever learned the truth. Marcus exhaled slowly. Well, he said, that's a pretty bad day. Kayleigh almost looked offended by the understatement. You do not understand. No, Marcus said. I understand perfectly. Your empire found a back door to humanity's home world, and now they want the key back. Outside, rubble shifted. One of the reckoned signatures had reached the outer wall. Marcus lowered himself into position beside the bunker opening and checked his rifle charge. Kayleigh watched him. You cannot stop them alone. Marcus gave her a sideways smile. Probably not. They are shadow talons. That sounds dramatic. It should. They are execution hunters. Marcus nodded once. Even better. Kayleigh stared at him as if his species had been assembled incorrectly. You joke in moments of death. Helps with the stress. This is not stress. This is extinction. Marcus looked out into the ruins again. You know what the funny thing is? Humans hear words like impossible, extinction, hopeless odds. He clicked the rifle into firing mode. And for some reason, it only makes us more annoying. The first enemy appeared a second later, gliding between broken columns in matte black armor. Marcus fired instantly. Blue light exploded from the rifle. The shot hit the scout in the chest and slammed it backward into a wall. Before the body hit the ground, 2 more shadows broke from cover. The bunker erupted into chaos. Marcus ducked as plasma fire tore through the entrance, turning stone into glowing spray. He rolled left, came up on one knee, and fired twice more. One shot missed. The second hit an attacker in the leg, spinning it off balance. But they were fast. Far too fast. A blade flashed through the doorway, so close Marcus felt the heat singe his cheek. He slammed the butt of his rifle upward and caught the attacker under the jaw. The alien staggered. Marcus drove his shoulder forward, hit hard, and both of them crashed into the bunker wall. Pain shot through his ribs. The shadow talon recovered first. Marcus saw the curved blade come down. And then Kayleigh shouted something in her own language. Her damaged armor suddenly flared with silver light. A pulse burst from her chest plate and smashed into the attacker like an invisible hammer. The alien flew sideways and hit the opposite wall with bone-breaking force. Marcus stared at her. Kayleigh's face was tight with agony. That was my last emergency charge, she said. Marcus grinned despite the blood on his lip. Good timing. More footsteps. More shadows. Too many. Marcus backed toward Kayleigh's, weapon raised, every instinct calculating angles, distances, final options. Then Kayleigh spoke again, sharper now. There is a data shard inside my spine housing. Remove it. Marcus glanced at her. During the fight? Little busy. If they take me alive, they take the key. You must remove it. Marcus hesitated. Kayleigh held his gaze with terrifying calm. If humanity matters to you, do it. The entrance darkened as more hunters moved in. Marcus swallowed once. Then he reached for the field knife at his belt. Because outside the bunker waited the deadliest hunters of the Cathari Empire. And inside the bunker, hidden in the broken spine of an alien warrior no one had come back for, was the one thing that could save the human race. The knife in Marcus Hale's hand trembled for only a second. Outside the bunker, alien hunters moved like shadows through the ruins. Their footsteps were light, disciplined, patient. The kind of soldiers trained to kill quietly and disappear even faster. Inside the bunker, the air felt thick. Kayleigh watched Marcus with the calm focus of a warrior who had already accepted death. Do it, she said. Marcus looked down at the shattered spine housing in her armor. Just so we're clear, he muttered, human medical school did not prepare me for alien spinal surgery during a fight. Kayleigh didn't blink. Adapt. Marcus sighed. Yeah, humans do that. Another plasma bolt slammed into the bunker entrance. Stone exploded inward, sending shards across the floor. They were running out of time. Marcus knelt beside her and slid the blade carefully under the cracked plating along her lower back. The armor hissed as the knife forced its way through the seam. Inside, strange blue circuits pulsed like veins. He winced. Okay, that's definitely not how human spines look. Kayleigh clenched her jaw but didn't make a sound. Third segment, she whispered. A small crystal node. Marcus pushed aside a bundle of glowing cables. Then he saw it. A shard no bigger than a coin, glowing softly with silver light. That's the key. Yes. Marcus grabbed it. The moment his fingers touched the crystal, the bunker filled with a faint humming vibration. The shard wasn't just a key. It was alive with data. Marcus slipped it quickly into a pouch on his chest armor. "All right," he said, standing again. "Humanity's survival now officially fits in my pocket." Kaylee's exhaled slowly. Outside, the hunters were closing in. Marcus checked his rifle charge. Low. Very low. He looked back at Kaylee's. "You got any more secret alien tricks in that armor?" She shook her head. "No." "Great." Another figure appeared in the doorway. The Shadow Talon Commander. Unlike the others, his armor was darker and heavier, covered with sharp ridges like a predator's skeleton. His glowing eyes scanned the bunker slowly. Then they landed on Marcus. "You interfere with Imperial retrieval," the alien said coldly. Marcus leaned casually against the wall. "Yeah, I do that sometimes." The commander stepped forward. "You carry something that does not belong to you." Marcus tapped the pouch on his chest. "Oh, this thing." 3 more hunters appeared behind their leader. Kaylee spoke quietly from the floor. "Marcus, you cannot win this fight." Marcus grinned. "Win? No." The commander raised his blade. Marcus raised a small metal sphere in his other hand. "But humans are very good at ruining everyone else's day." The commander paused. "What is that?" Marcus pressed the button. A piercing electronic tone screamed from the device. Then the entire battlefield outside erupted with thunder. The commander's eyes widened. Orbital drop pods slammed into the ruined city like falling meteors. Dozens. Then hundreds. The ground shook as heavy armored soldiers burst from the pods in waves of steel and fire. Human soldiers. Marcus winked. "Emergency beacon," he said cheerfully. The commander realized the truth too late. Plasma fire exploded across the ruins as the human counterassault began. Within seconds, the Shadow Talon hunters were forced back by incoming gunfire. Marcus grabbed his rifle and stepped into the doorway beside the human reinforcements pouring through the rubble. One soldier slid beside him. "Sergeant Hale. Command said you found something important." Marcus nodded. "Very important." The soldier looked inside the bunker and froze when he saw the wounded alien warrior. "Sir." Marcus shrugged. "She's with us." Behind him, Kaylee's watched the battlefield transform. Human soldiers moved with a chaotic kind of coordination she had never seen before. They shouted. They laughed. They fought like the universe had personally insulted them. But they also protected each other. 2 soldiers dragged a wounded comrade behind cover while another covered them with relentless gunfire. Another team immediately set up a portable shield wall at the bunker entrance. Within minutes, the Shadow Talon hunters were retreating. The commander glared at Marcus one final time before disappearing into the ruins. The retrieval mission had failed. The key was gone. And worse, it now belonged to humanity. Silence slowly returned to the battlefield. Marcus walked back inside the bunker. Kaylee's looked up at him. "You called your army." Marcus nodded. "Turns out humans don't like extinction threats." 2 medics rushed inside and began scanning Kaylee's armor. One of them looked surprised. "This alien's alive." Marcus nodded again. "Yep. And she's important." Kaylee's watched him carefully. "You could have turned me over as a prisoner." Marcus sat beside her. "Maybe." "Why did you not?" Marcus thought for a moment. Then he said simply, "Because you trusted me." Kaylee's was quiet. For a warrior raised in a culture that discarded weakness, that answer meant something. Outside, human engineers were already scanning the battlefield data. Within hours, the signal shard was decoded. Within days, the hidden gate structure was located. Within weeks, humanity launched the most daring operation in its history. A small strike fleet jumped into deep space, directly to the location of the secret gate. The Cathri Empire believed their ancient war machine was untouchable. They believed no one else even knew it existed. They believed humanity was still learning how to survive in space. They were wrong. Human engineers studied the alien technology. Human tacticians redesigned the entire attack strategy in 48 hours. And when the strike fleet arrived, they didn't destroy the gate. They took control of it. For the first time in galactic history, humanity possessed a doorway that could move fleets across the stars instantly. News of the operation spread across the galaxy like wildfire. One simple truth echoed across every civilization. The Cathri Empire had made a mistake. They had left one warrior behind. One human had chosen to stay. And that single act of stubborn compassion had changed the balance of power for the entire galaxy. Weeks later, in a quiet medical station orbiting Earth, Kaylee stood again for the first time. Human spinal reconstruction technology was crude by Cathri standards. But it worked. Marcus leaned against the wall as she took her first careful steps. "You look taller when you're not paralyzed," he joked. Kaylee's glanced at him. "Humans are still irrational." Marcus grinned. "Yeah." She walked slowly toward the observation window where Earth glowed blue beneath them. "My people will come for the gate," she said. Marcus shrugged. "They probably will." Kaylee's turned toward him. "You are not afraid." Marcus folded his arms. "Kaylee's, humanity survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, world wars, and reality television." She blinked. "What is reality television?" Marcus laughed. "Trust me. If we survive that, we'll survive your empire too." For a moment she studied him. Then, slowly, the alien warrior smiled. Not the ghost of one. A real one. Because for the first time since she had been left behind on that battlefield, Kaylee's understood something about humans. They weren't the strongest species in the galaxy. They weren't the most advanced. They weren't the most disciplined. But humans had something far more dangerous. They refused to give up on anyone. And when a species like that went to war, the entire galaxy eventually learned the same lesson. Never underestimate humanity.